Hi, I'm Chandler. For as long as I can remember, December was just another month in my calendar. While other kids counted down the days till Christmas, I learned to ignore the festive decorations in shop windows and hallway lockers. My parents made it clear that Christmas was a special time reserved for my brother, Ryan. Chandler, stop hovering around the tree, Mom would say, her voice sharp as she arranged presents, all for Ryan. I'm just looking, I'd reply, backing away from the glittering decorations I wasn't allowed to touch. Well, look somewhere else. You know these are for your brother. Dad would barely glance up from his newspaper. Listen to your mother, Chandler. I was 16 when my best friend Zoe finally noticed the pattern. Wait, you're saying you've never had a Christmas present? Not one? Zoe asked, her fork suspended midway to her mouth as we sat in the school cafeteria. It's not a big deal, I said, pushing my salad around. It is a big deal. What about birthdays? Oh, I get something small. Last year, they got me socks. And Ryan? He got a gaming computer, new phone, and a weekend trip to Six Flags. Zoe's eyes widened. That's messed up, Chandler. Mom says I was born difficult. I was colicky as a baby, and I guess they never forgave me for it. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, Zoe declared. Parents aren't supposed to hold grudges against their babies for crying. I shrugged. It's fine. I'm used to it. It's not fine. Not even close to fine, Zoe insisted, leaning forward. Do they at least let you participate in the celebrations? I'm usually sent to my aunt's house for the holidays. Aunt Patricia's nice, but she works night shifts at the hospital, so I'm mostly alone. While your family is having Christmas without you? How is that legal? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Jessica. Hey, you should see this, she wrote, followed by a link to Ryan's Instagram story. I clicked it open to find my brother showing off his early Christmas gift, a brand new car with a giant bow on top. They got him a car? He's only 15, I exclaimed. Let me see, Zoe said, leaning over. That's a BMW. Those cost a lot. My college fund, I whispered, feeling sick. They promised that money was untouchable. What do you mean? I overheard them last month talking about needing to dip into some savings. Mom was worried, but Dad said it would be fine because I'd probably get scholarships anyway. Zoe's expression hardened. Chandler, this isn't just unfair. It's financial abuse. They're stealing your future. You don't know that for sure, I said, but the knot in my stomach tightened. My phone rang. It was Jessica again. Chandler? Her voice was hesitant. There's something else you should know. What is it? I overheard Uncle Bill and Aunt Carol talking yesterday. They're planning to use the rest of your college fund to send Ryan to basketball camp in Europe this summer. That can't be right, I said, my voice cracking. There was almost $40,000 in that account. My grandparents set it up for me when I was born. I'm sorry, but I heard them clearly. They said something about how you weren't college material anyway, and Ryan needed the opportunities more. The cafeteria seemed to spin around me as Jessica's words sank in. 12 years of being excluded from Christmas suddenly seemed like just the tip of a much larger, much more devastating iceberg. You need to talk to someone about this, Zoe insisted as we walked to her car after school. A guidance counselor, at least. And say what? My parents love my brother more than me? I shook my head. That's not exactly actionable. The college fund is, though, said Marcos, Zoe's boyfriend, who had joined us. If your grandparents set it up specifically for you, your parents can't legally touch it without consequences. How would I even prove that? I asked. Do you have any documentation? Birthday cards? Letters? Anything from your grandparents mentioning the fund? Marcos asked. I thought for a moment. Maybe in the storage boxes in the attic. My grandparents passed away when I was 10, but Mom kept all their papers. We could help you look, Zoe offered. My parents would never let you guys over. Then we do it when they're not home, Marco suggested. They're taking Ryan shopping for accessories for his new car tomorrow afternoon, I said. Perfect, Zoe nodded. Operation College Fund Rescue is a go. The next day, Zoe, Marcos, and my cousin Jessica helped me search through dusty boxes in our attic. Found something? Jessica called out after an hour of searching. She held up a folder labeled Chandler's Future. Inside was a notarized letter from my grandparents, establishing an educational trust in my name, along with annual statements showing regular deposits. "This is it," Marcos said, examining the papers. "According to this, the money can only be used for your education. There's even a clause here stating that if the funds are misappropriated, the trustee, that's your dad, could face legal penalties." "So they've been breaking the law?" I asked, stunned. "Looks like it," Jessica confirmed. "But we need more proof they actually took the money." "Check your dad's office," Zoe suggested. "That's where my parents keep all their financial stuff." We crept downstairs to Dad's home office. The door was locked, but Jessica, who'd spent summers working at a locksmith, made quick work of it with a bobby pin. Inside, we found bank statements showing large withdrawals from an account labeled CEF, Chandler Educational Fund. "15,000 for Ryan's car," I whispered, running my finger down the statement. "Another 8,000 for his basketball camp deposit." "There's more," Marcos pointed to earlier statements. 5,000 for Ryan's gaming setup last Christmas, 3,000 for his spring break trip. "They've been doing this for years," Jessica said, her voice tight with anger. "They've taken almost $30,000 from your college fund to spoil Ryan." "I still can't believe they'd do this," I said, my hands shaking. The front door slammed. "Chandler? Are you home?" My father's voice echoed through the house. "They're back early," I hissed, grabbing the papers. We barely made it out of the office when my father rounded the corner. "What are you doing?" he demanded, eyes narrowing at the sight of us standing outside his office. "Just showing my friends my school project," I lied, hiding the papers behind my back. "Who said you could have friends over?" my mother asked, appearing behind him. "I didn't think it would be a problem," I said. "Well, it is. You know we don't like strangers in the house." "We're not strangers," Zoe protested. "I've known Chandler for 3 years." "You still need permission," Mom snapped. "All of you out, now." "Mrs. Adams," Marcos began. "We were just—" "I said out," she shouted. As my friends gathered their things, Ryan sauntered in, smirking at my discomfort. "Got kicked out of Dad's office, huh? Trying to steal something?" he taunted. "I know what you and Mom and Dad did," I said quietly. "I know about my college fund." Ryan's smirk faltered for just a second before he recovered. "Don't know what you're talking about, sis." "Yes, you do," Jessica cut in. "And we have proof." "What's this nonsense about proof?" my father demanded, stepping between us. I took a deep breath and held up the documents. "I know about the educational trust Grandma and Grandpa set up for me, and I know you've been stealing from it to buy Ryan expensive gifts." My mother's face paled. "That's ridiculous. We've done no such thing." "Really? Then how do you explain these?" I thrust the bank statements forward. $30,000, Mom? My college money? You were snooping in my office? Dad's face reddened. "That's private property. And this was my money. Money that was legally meant for my education." "We are your parents," Mom said, her voice cold. "We decide what's best for this family." "Best for Ryan, you mean?" I corrected her. "Never what's best for me?" Ryan stepped forward, his usual cockiness replaced by uncertainty. "Mom, what's she talking about?" "Nothing, sweetie," Mom assured him. "Your sister is just being dramatic as usual." "I'm not being dramatic," I said, my voice rising. "I've spent my entire life being treated like I don't matter in this family. No Christmas presents, no birthday celebrations, nothing. Meanwhile, Ryan gets cars and trips to Europe." "You should be grateful for what you have," Dad snapped. "We put a roof over your head, clothes on your back." "The bare minimum," I shouted. "That's called being a parent. It's literally the law." "Lower your voice," Mom hissed. "No, I don't think I will," I replied, surprising myself with my steadiness. "I want to know why. Why have you always treated me like I was nothing?" My parents exchanged a look I couldn't decipher. "You were always difficult," Mom finally said. From the day you were born, nothing we did was ever good enough. I was a baby, I cried. Babies cry. They don't sleep through the night. That's normal. It wasn't just that, Dad muttered. You were always so independent. You never seemed to need us. Because you taught me not to. I was shaking now. You ignored me until I stopped asking for attention. Ryan looked between us, confusion clear on his face. Wait, is this true? Have you really been using Chandler's college money for my stuff? We've been investing in your future, Dad said defensively. You have real potential. And I don't? I asked quietly. That's not what we meant, Mom backpedaled. It's exactly what you meant, Jessica interjected. Admit it. This is family business, Mom snapped at her. You need to leave. All of you. They're staying, I said firmly. They're more family to me than you've ever been. Dad stepped toward me, finger pointed accusingly. You ungrateful little... Careful, Mr. Adams, Marcos warned, holding up his phone. I'm recording this conversation. Dad froze, then lunged for the phone. Give me that! In his attempt to grab it, he shoved me hard against the wall. The back of my head hit with a painful thud. Dad! Ryan exclaimed, shocked. Bill, stop! Mom cried. Zoe rushed to my side. Are you okay? You just assaulted your daughter on camera, Marcos said, his voice cold. That was a mistake. Get out of my house! Dad roared. All of you! And give me that phone! No, I said, standing straight despite the throbbing in my head. We're going to the police. And then we're calling Grandpa's lawyer, Mr. Donovan. He's still the executor of the trust, isn't he? The color drained from both my parents' faces. You wouldn't, Mom whispered. Watch me, I replied, gathering the documents. Let's go, guys. As we headed for the door, Ryan called after me. Chandler, wait, I didn't know. Save it, Ryan, I said without turning around. You've benefited from this your entire life. Don't pretend you didn't notice. The trust explicitly stated the funds were for Chandler's education only, Mr. Donovan explained 3 days later in his office. Your parents breached their fiduciary duty as trustees. Aunt Patricia, who had taken me in after the confrontation, squeezed my hand. What happens now? We've frozen the remaining assets, the lawyer said, and we're filing for restitution of the misappropriated funds. Will they face criminal charges? Jessica asked. That's separate from the civil case, but given the assault that occurred, it's certainly possible. Detective Rivera, who had been quietly taking notes, looked up. The video evidence is compelling, and we have your statement about the financial situation. We're recommending charges of assault and financial exploitation of a minor. What does that mean for my parents? I asked. They'll likely face probation, mandatory counseling, and restitution payments, she explained. And a restraining order is in place for now. And Ryan? I couldn't help asking. He's a minor who benefited from his parents' actions, but he's not legally culpable, Detective Rivera said. A knock at the door interrupted us. Ryan stood there, looking uncertain. Can I talk to Chandler? Alone? After a moment's hesitation, I nodded, and the others stepped out. I'm sorry, Ryan said immediately. I had no idea they were using your money. How could you not know something was off? I asked. You got a car for Christmas. I got nothing. For years. I guess I just accepted it as normal, he admitted, looking down. They always said you didn't care about Christmas or birthdays? And you believed them? I was a kid. What was I supposed to think? Maybe that it was weird your sister never got presents? I suggested bitterly. Ryan sighed. You're right. I should have questioned it. I was selfish. Yes, you were. Can you ever forgive me? He asked. I studied my brother's face, searching for the sincerity I'd never seen before. No. Chandler. No, Ryan. Maybe someday we can have a relationship, but not now. You enjoyed the benefits of their favoritism for 18 years. You don't get to apologize once and have everything be okay. What about Mom and Dad? They want to make amends. I laughed humorlessly. They want to avoid jail time. They're still our parents. Parents who stole from me and physically assaulted me? No thanks. Ryan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then back at me. It's Mom. They want to meet, to apologize in person. The answer is no, I said firmly. The restraining order exists for a reason. They're devastated, Chandler. So was I. Every Christmas, birthday, and school event, when they made it clear I didn't matter. 2 weeks later, I sat in the courtroom as my parents were sentenced to probation, mandatory counseling, and full restitution of my educational trust. They looked smaller somehow, diminished by their exposed actions. Chandler! My mother called as I was leaving. Please, just talk to us! I turned to face them one last time. You had 18 years to talk to me, to treat me like your daughter. You chose not to. Now I'm choosing not to have you in my life. We're still your parents, my father protested. We made mistakes, but we love you. No, you don't, I replied calmly. But that's okay. I don't need you to. Outside, Aunt Patricia, Zoe, Marcos, and Jessica waited for me. How do you feel? Zoe asked. Free, I said, surprised to find it was true. For the first time in my life, completely free. What now? Jessica asked. College, I smiled, with my fully restored educational trust. And this December, I'm going to have the biggest, most ridiculous Christmas celebration ever. With your real family, Aunt Patricia said, putting her arm around me. I looked at the people surrounding me, none related by blood except Jessica, but all more family than my parents had ever been. Exactly, I agreed, with my real family. Do you wonder how many others have experienced similar family dynamics? How many kids grow up thinking unequal treatment is normal until someone helps them see the truth? If you've ever felt like the forgotten one, remember, you deserve better, and there are people who will value you exactly as you are.